Alright, so the LA Dodgers just won the 2024 World Series, 4-1 over the New York Yankees, and that's terrifying. This is a very interesting moment in time for baseball, and if nothing else, examining the lens of where it appears like it could stand in the near future is important. A little time capsule of the world that was in the immediate aftermath of this Dodgers World Series win, and what it means for today and beyond, regardless of, what actually happens. I've watched my fair share of old Mike and the Mad Dog post-Big Series reactions recently. I've watched my fair share of the Weekly Slap. Let me do my take on the whole chill, in-the-moment analysis thing, alright? So, why is the first word that came to mind here for me terrifying? Why is it scary that a baseball team coasted to a championship when everybody and their mother expected that team to coast to this very championship before the season even started? Well, everyone who wasn't making fun of them for getting swept by the Diamondbacks last year. Because the Dodgers just absolutely mollywopped the Yankees, who are the only team in the league with as much star power on the roster as LA. And the Dodgers did this at like 50% strength. The Dodgers owned the first 3 games of the World Series because Jack Flaherty, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Walker Buehler had some of their best stuff of the entire year. Aside from like one mistake pitch to Stanton in Game 1 that Flaherty might have actually been hurt for, and, whatever happened with him in Game 5. Those and the Juan Soto homer in Game 2 are the only mistakes the starting pitching made. The starting pitching literally could not have done any better for the first 3 games. And I'm cherry-picking it as the first 3 games because that's the real starting pitching, not the opener, who's only been in the big leagues for 2 months. That's not the same. And this is especially horrifying for the rest of the league because this was basically the Dodgers' JV rotation. The pitcher with the lowest lifetime ERA of any starter in 100 years was hurt. The early frontrunner for this year's NL Cy Young Award was hurt. Technically, the best player in baseball's equally as talented pitching half was out. A guy who went 16-1 with a 2.14 ERA 2 years ago was out. And they still had 4 other talented big league caliber starters on the injured list. I didn't say. If pitching won them this championship down the stretch, they're gonna get a whole lot of talent back for next year, and then some. Just wait till Roki Sasaki goes there too, since most people just think that's a foregone conclusion. And oh yeah, can this team do whatever they want for a little bit? Because of Shohei Ohtani's truly unbelievable contract deferral, where he only right now gets $2 million per year out of his $70 million per year guaranteed, the Dodgers can kind of do whatever they want, roster-wise, for the length of his contract. They've always been players in the market for large contracts, and they almost surely will add marquee talent this offseason too to a team that was firing on all cylinders down the stretch. Is it most likely someone like Willy Adames coming in and being a 30-homer shortstop for them? Yeah. Is it out of the question they sign another frontline pitcher or Juan Soto? No. No matter how unlikely it seems right now, they can do anything. They can flip Juan Soto to their side. Could you imagine that 1-4 with Juan Soto on it next year? Even if it doesn't happen, they're building a reputation as the closest thing baseball has to a college football powerhouse. They're good all the time. They have a great history, and a great reputation for getting the most out of their stars. Pitchers especially. They're like the Tampa Bay Rays level of efficiency with 10 times the money, at least. Also consider that this is a team that tends to get a lot of the bounces to go their way, eventually. Freddie Freeman can't walk in the NLCS, and then he's instantly Babe Ruth when the World Series starts. Lose 2 all-star caliber pitchers to the restricted list, instantly churn out new guys who more than fill their production. You also save $40+ million a year when one of those guys gets effectively banished from MLB too. Trade Yordan Alvarez away for a guy who gave you like 100 good innings as a Dodger. That's fine. They'll eventually get the one lefty hitting DH who's better than him. Aaron Judge says he almost signed with their division rival Padres. That's fine. John Heyman reports that MLB was preparing to veto the deal on the grounds of luxury tax evasion. Not sure what this Ohtani thing was then, if offering 14 years $400 million is sneaky. They also totally evade legal trouble when they're being federally investigated for human trafficking on international players and their superstar getting embroiled in a gambling scandal the first week of the season. They started 2024 in Korea, having this man have to explain to the team why he was going to have to leave in disgrace. They ended it holding a World Series trophy, exactly like everyone imagined the day Ohtani made history with that deal to join him. Point is, this isn't really complaining about the Dodgers, it's proving a bigger point. Casual baseball fans might just know they're the best team in the land, and it's totally okay if you didn't know any of those extra things, or just take a championship at face value. But fans in the know might start thinking the Dodgers are invincible. And you know what? That's not all bad. Sports thrive on having teams as villains. The NFL did it for 20 years with the Patriots, and they're doing it again with the Chiefs. The peak of the Warriors dynasty was great for basketball because everyone just wanted to see it come down eventually. Baseball now has their villain. It is the Los Angeles Dodgers. A lot of fans out there, even ones who don't really care about baseball, are gonna think it's cool when the Dodgers eventually come off the top of the mountain. Except maybe baseball fans in Japan. I can't even imagine how much Dodger World Series championship shirts are gonna sell in Japan. Oh, and also, no more talk about how the 2020 Dodgers were Mickey Mouse champions because of the 60-game regular season during the pandemic. They weren't like fake champions to begin with. Every team had the same circumstances ahead of them, especially come playoff time. Now, the Dodgers are a bona fide historical dynasty. As if making the playoffs every year since 2013 and only losing the division once in that time didn't already make that happen. This is the Dodgers' version of the 2022 Astros championship. You can't ding them anymore for the one everyone likes to demean. They just went and did it again. If you don't believe me, look, it's on screen. They did it. They won the World Series. Have you been paying attention this whole video? They got one. They're not Fugazi champions anymore, like everyone was saying after 2020. And they did it with a team that looked really vulnerable just a couple weeks ago. The Padres were one win away from just knocking them out of the playoffs without even picking up a postseason series win. Could you imagine the vibes if that happened? Ohtani didn't have a good World Series. He didn't have a good division series either. You realize that we were narrowly at the path of Ohtani being a playoff choker, and now he's holding the trophy for the World Series in his first year as a Dodger. That's how quickly things change. And the Dodgers had that happen the whole time. Freddie Freeman was literally hobbling all over the field during the Mets series. And do I need to remind you what he did in the World Series? Coming into the NLCS when you realized they were going to have 2 bullpen games, that was never going to be a good look. I'll admit it, I'm a Mets fan. I thought that meant the Mets were probably going to win the series. It didn't look like the Dodgers were going to have the pitching to get there. And, oh wow, did they have the pitching at the end. They still delivered when it mattered, and then some, on both sides of the ball. And that's how you win a championship. Saying Freddie Freeman delivered in the World Series here is the understatement of all understatements, by the way, but yeah. Freeman's officially a Hall of Famer, if he wasn't already, and it makes the Braves' decision not to keep him an even bigger joke than it already was. We'll never really know what happened there, with his agent playing hardball and Freddie clearly wanting to stay a Brave in his heart. But now you might get a Dodgers hat on his plaque in the Hall of Fame. The Mookie Betts trade also became an even bigger joke. He was officially a Hall of Famer before this series, but now it's definitely a first ballot Hall of Fame guy with a Dodgers hat on his plaque.
Dumbest decision of the last, 3 to 5 years in baseball, maybe in all of sports, to let this guy go.
Dare I say, Ohtani might have also become a Hall of Famer with this? He's already probably clinched most talented player of his generation. He's gonna have 3 MVP awards and a World Championship. Once he hits 10 years service time, he probably goes in the Hall of Fame automatically now too. You know who also should get a plaque in the Hall of Fame? This guy. What a moment this was. You will never forget where you were when you first saw this. Nah, I'm actually kidding. This was kind of a disgrace, if I'm being honest with you. Legends are made this time of year on the baseball calendar. The Dodgers may have just iced their legacies from all their legends of this generation. And you know what? They don't even look close to done.